This game is called What's in the Deck. It was created by Clint Pressler, on February 8, 2017. The number of players involved in this game are 2 to 4. The estimated playtime is 25 to 35 minutes. Suggested ages to play this game are 6+. There is no language dependency. There will be 3 or more stacks of cards in this game. A main stack, and each player will start off with 5 cards, forming their own stack. As the game progresses, the amount of cards in each player's hands can either increase or decrease, but each player starts out with 5. The first player looks at the top card in their hand. In this case, we have a 4 of clubs. The player then tries to determine if the card at the top of the main stack will be more or less in value than the 4 of clubs. Let's say player 1 guesses that the card at the top of the stack will be more than the 4 of clubs. Let's see. It is. The player guessed correctly that the card at the top of this stack would be more in value. So the player can take their top card and the card from the top of the stack and put them in the bottom of this pile. The goal is to have as few cards in your hand as possible. Player 2 guesses that the card at the top of the stack will be less in value than the card in his hand, which is a 5. It's actually a 10, so player 2 is wrong. In the case that a player is wrong, they must keep the card from the top of the stack and keep the card from their hand, only adding to their deck. The player 1 has a 5. He guesses that the card in the deck will be more than this. The card in the deck is actually another 5. In the case that the cards have the same values, nothing happens. This card would just go back to the bottom of the deck, and the player would keep their card. In addition to this gameplay, there will be 2 wild cards per game. Let's say that the wild cards are an ace and a queen. Let's put these wild cards right here. In the case that a player draws a wild card, they automatically win that round, so it doesn't matter if they guess correctly or incorrectly. They can get rid of their card and the card from the top of the deck. A measure of strategy comes into the game when a player has only 1 card left. The player can play offensively by just continuing gameplay as normal, or the player can take a defensive strategy by adding 2 cards to their deck, but forcing their opponent to add 5 cards to theirs.
Okay.
As mentioned before, gameplay would continue until one player has 0 cards left, or both players decide to end it, and whoever has the least amount of cards would win.
Okay.
The gameplay continues until one player has 0 cards left, or both players decide they want to end the game. In the case that both players decide to end the game, they would each count their cards and determine who has the least amount of cards. Whichever player has the least amount of cards would win.